Hello there, and welcome back to the channel with me, a British person, enjoying life and the food here in Monterey, as well as, of course, the rest of Mexico too. Now, being British, and with my age, I always have in humour the influence of Monty Python, and in their movie, which was banned in many countries, probably here in Mexico too, The Life of Brian, there are so many things quoted from that movie. One of those things quoted is, "What have the Romans ever done for us?" And in the exchange, people quote aqueducts, sanitation, and many other things. But if we kind of move that question across from the Roman era and we say, so, what has Mexico ever done for us? You may be surprised at the answers. So, what has Mexico ever done for the world? Where do we start? Well, if it weren't for Mexico, Italian food and Indian food, as well as Thai and many others in the Far East, would never exist. Just think of the tomato, or tomato if you happen to be American. Well, if the tomato had never arrived in Europe, pizzas would never be the way they are, and the Italians would be very limited on the kind of sauces that they would have with pasta. Yes, the tomato arrived, I don't know, when it was it? 17th, 18th century, I think it was, and propagated across the whole of Europe. I mean, in Britain, it was looked on as being kind of a poisonous fruit. It is a fruit, it's not a vegetable, because it has seeds. And in Britain, because people would serve it on a pewter plate, the kind of juices, the acids in the fruit would react with the pewter plates, and people would kind of succumb to death due to the reaction. And then people realized, it's not the tomato after all. It's the fact we're being stupid enough to put it on pewter plates and not a normal plate. But imagine a world where Italy didn't have the tomato. Wouldn't that be strange? Where would we be? Where would the pizza be? Who would know what a pizza was without tomato sauce? Isn't it strange how a country relies on another country's influence to make it famous, I guess. I mean, just think of India and Thailand and Vietnam and the areas of Asia. Without Mexico, their cuisine would be kind of bland, maybe spice-based, but they would never have had the chili. And the various kinds of chilies that come from Mexico, and there are numerous, over 60 varieties of chili are produced here in Mexico. And without these, where would the curry be? I mean, the British would never have a Friday evening after a few beers and an Indian afterwards. It would just never exist. And Indian cuisine would never exist without the chili, and also the tomato as well. And Thailand, Vietnam, and others, their cuisines would never exist in the way they are now without the chili. Everybody thinks of the United States as being the place that produces the most corn in the world, but it hails from Mexico, and without corn, which was cultivated in Mesoamerica probably thousands of years ago, where would the world be? I mean, nobody would have cornflakes, would they? But, yeah, this is another of those great things that Mexico gave to the world. I mean, without corn, where would many of the world's economies be? If you think of India, think of Europe, America, of course. But where would the world be without corn? And here in Mexico, corn is just not this yellow corn that you think of in cans of sweet corn, but there's this variety, this wealth of corn here in Mexico. I mean, there's the yellow, of course. Then there's the white corn, which you buy in supermarkets, and it's a better taste. I mean, sweet corn, yeah, it's a sweetness, and it's more American influenced these days. But white corn has this nuttiness, and it's lovely. And this is what is used for tortillas. It is a lovely thing, but then you get various other colors of corn. And the one I love the most is blue corn. A blue corn tortilla is the most wonderful thing in all of the world. And of course, there are beans. I mean, the English breakfast would not be complete without the Mexican influence that gives you baked beans. And there are so many different varieties of bean here in Mexico. There are pintos, negros, mayorasgos, and so many others. I don't know, like 50, 60 varieties of bean that you can get here in Mexico. And I'm really into beans. I love the fact that they have such a wonderful flavor. Though I'm not the best when it comes to cooking beans, so I tend to buy packets of ready prepared beans. But they are a staple, or one of the main staples of the Mexican diet. And yeah, without the bean, there would be such a lack of wonderful things which add to the world's gastronomy. Of course, we have the avocado. And without the avocado, Gen Zs, or Gen Zs in the British term, would never have their smashed avocado on toast, would they? Yeah, the avocado seems to be such a popular thing these days in guacamoles for the Super Bowl Cinco de Mayo celebrations that they have in the US. But here in Mexico, there's not just one kind of avocado. There's one which I love called the criollo, which is a very thin-skinned avocado, and the skin is edible. It's lovely. It has this pepperiness that is just gorgeous, and I love that. Whereas with the Hass, which are the kind of general avocado, you don't get that. You can't really eat the skin. But in terms of avocados, they are gorgeous to make a guacamole and more. It's become this kind of ubiquitous ingredient around the world, and maybe overused in the way it is with the smashed avocado. I don't think anybody here in Mexico actually smashes the avocado. That seems to be much more a European kind of thing. Australians kind of like smashed avocado as well. That seems to be their thing on a particular kind of toast. Sourdough toast seems to be the popular thing. Sourdough toast, smashed avocado on top. Here, that thing doesn't really exist. One of those other things that Mexico kind of let the world know existed is vanilla, which is a kind of orchid, I believe. And yeah, it originates here in Mexico, although the best vanilla in the world is apparently Madagascar bourbon vanilla. But the origins of vanilla are from here in Mexico. And I really do love vanilla. It has this lovely fragrance, this warmth of flavor. And for me, it's the best ice cream ever. I mean, I love a great vanilla ice cream, and I think one of the best I've had comes from Helado Sultana, one of the ice cream brands from here in Monterrey. Nothing to do with Unilever's helados. Was it helados? What's that brand called? I can't remember. But yeah, those Unilever brands, Hollanda's. Yeah, Hollanda, that's the brand. I suddenly remembered. And with that, you get this fake vanilla taste, whereas with Helado Sultana, you get a really lovely, fresh, real vanilla taste. And there's such a difference between real vanilla and what I call fake vanilla, which is just vanilla flavoring. So that's another of those wonderful things Mexico has given the world. Mexico also gave the world the peanut. So without Mexico's influence, the British pub and the most popular snack that you would get there to go with your beer, the salted peanut, just wouldn't exist. I mean, I love peanuts, and for some reason, Mexican peanuts have a far different taste. Even the salted ones, which are the popular one to go with your beer. There's just something different about the taste. But if it weren't for Mexico, pub snacks would be very limited. You probably would have crisps, and that's it. But then again, crisps made from potato came from Peru and Chile, so without them, you would be even more limited to what would you have it as a beer snack in Britain? I don't really know. Mexico's influence on food culture around the world really is quite staggering. I mean, if it weren't for Mexico, the British Christmas dinner and also Thanksgiving lunch or dinner wouldn't really exist without the turkey or the guajolote. I think the name turkey came from the fact that the Turkish called it the Turkish chicken or something. But without the guajolote, Christmas and Thanksgiving would never be the same as the turkey, the guajolote. It was and is a resident of Mexico. So let's save the best for last of those ingredients that Mexico gave the world. And that is cacao, chocolate. Without Mexico, that sweet treat that everybody loves would never exist. I mean, Belgium would never have any fame at all other than for its beers. You would never have Belgian chocolate, though that gorgeous thing that I love. But I love Mexican chocolate too, and there are some gorgeous ones. But chocolate dates back to the Totonacs, probably the Olmecs, certainly the Aztecs. And it was always enjoyed as a drink. It was never in bars like you would get from Cadbury and that rather crap that comes from the United States called Hershey and others too. But no, it was a drink of the gods. That's how it was looked at. Whereas with chocolate mixed with chili, cinnamon, and various other spices that existed here. And cinnamon, of course, is another addition to the world's influence. So it was a drink. And people still enjoy chocolate in a drink. And I've never really had a great hot chocolate here. I mean, I think it's probably because in Britain you would get as an evening drink as a kid, cocoa, and I never really liked it. But I really must get into enjoying hot chocolate, which is the Mexican way. But I think I will probably make it the Mexican way with a bit of chili, cinnamon, and other spices. But yeah, there are so many things that Mexicans and Mexico have given to the world. I just realized there's one other ingredient that Mexico gave to the world, and that is annatto, achiote, as we call it here. And this is a bright red seed that is used, it kind of is powdered, and it's used very much in Mexican cuisine. But it's now in many countries used as a colorant, maybe a flavoring too, but mostly to color things in a kind of reddish hue. but it's a very natural colorant rather than the many colors that are used in products these days. I mean, there's so many unnatural colorants that are used, especially in the US. I mean, many of the colorants the US use are banned in Europe. Like the yellow orange dye that you get in Cheetos and cheese flavor crisps or chips. And yeah, whenever you buy a packet of chips, especially here, when you get some cheese, I'm not sure how close it has ever been to a piece of cheese, you get this colorant, which is the bright yellow. I can't remember what it's called, but it's banned in Europe. And it colors your fingers yellow, so you can never say, no, I've not had any crisps. Your fingers tell a different story. But annatto is used as a natural colorant, and I don't know why it's not used more so than these unnatural and artificial colorings that are used these days. But yeah, it's a seed, and I've never seen one. I'd love to actually investigate what it actually is like. So, thank you all for watching. Please, if you have enjoyed this video, please click on a like. Somewhere down there in the bottom you'll find the button. And if you're new to the channel, then please subscribe. There is also a button down there for you to subscribe. So, thank you all very much for watching. See you all very soon. Bye for now.